Radders, obviously, we won't see the 21 until tomorrow, will we? Are you sort of mulling over potential changes for Sunday?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think last week's conversations with one or two players missing out was difficult ones to sort of sit there and tell them they've had a really strong pre-season and played really well in the pre-season friendlies, the two games that we had. But I'm going to go in a different direction. I can't have that conversation again with one or two of them. They're going to get an opportunity to, put their best foot forward and hopefully keep hold of the shirt for a while.
Have you felt a little let down by maybe a couple of performances?
I can't tell you, I was obviously very disappointed with the performance, and I think I just heard JT say, and then it's the old coach's cliche. We've had a great training week, and I didn't see that performance coming. We generally had a really good pre-season. The build-up, obviously, the week leading into the performance, I felt really good about. And ultimately in one set of six, our opening set of six, everything we'd spoke about doing defensively, we sort of went the opposite direction. So, a little bit scratching my head slightly. But, a real opportunity to bounce back this week.
JT was just saying he doesn't really take heart from the fact that you were cutting loose in the second half, given, in his words, that the game was gone. Do you look at it in the same way?
100%. I think if we'd have won the game, it'd have been the wrong result. I don't think you can perform like we did for 60 minutes and expect to come away with anything. I thought, like I said, I just, was sort of shell-shocked was probably the word I'd use in the stands. And disappointed is probably the other way I'd describe it as well.
So everyone's now trying to work out whether now is a good or bad time to play St Helens, given the fact they've just travelled there and back to the other side of the world. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I don't think this weekend, whether we play St Helens or somebody who's expected to finish bottom of the table, I think if we throw last week's performance in there, there's only going to be one outcome anyway. So I think, I don't want to disrespect St Helens, but whoever the opposition is, we have to perform. We have to show a response. And like I said, some blokes getting an opportunity this week, hopefully can put their best foot forward and really challenge me in terms of selection for the next month or so.
Did you expect Saints to beat Penrith?
No, I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I wanted them to, obviously, and I had my St Helens shirt on for the Saturday morning, but no, I thought how the intensity in which obviously they've played with over the last fortnight against St George, and then Penrith is obviously admirable.
What is it? JT was just trying to put his finger on it, and obviously he's been closer to that system than you have. What is it that puts Saints sort of head and shoulders above other sides?
The level of intensity for the period of time in which they do it. I think they're prepared to get in an arm wrestle more than most sides, and for that reason, they've obviously won, 4 grand finals and now a World Club Championship. Been an incredible run and a well-deserved run, I think.
It's not an insurmountable difference, so is it? Do you feel it's something that other clubs can, they can get close to Saints, or do you feel like they're always going to be?
I think every team, in the competition this year, appreciates there's a fair bit of catching up to do to get to them, and I think that's an intriguing challenge for most clubs in the competition as well.
And with the first game at home as well coming up on Sunday, how much do you want to set your stall out there?
Yeah, look, I just want to sort of right some wrongs from last week. I know a lot of the players do as well. I think it's really important for us to show a response at home.
Just 2 from me. Dan Smith played for Halifax last week. Does he come into your thinking this week, or has he got some work to do to get into that thinking?
Yeah, he's picked up I don't know how you describe it. It's a cut, but it's a funny cut. It's almost a flap on his ankle, so he's not available for selection for anybody this week.
Right. And the other one I was going to ask you about were Jax O'Neill. I know a few weeks back he sort of said, I'm keen to come back. And he said, well, if there's going to be a conversation, it probably was first. Has there been any development there at all?
No. Obviously, I stay in touch with Jax anyway, just to talk general stuff. But yeah, this week's been a bit of been knocked for six a little bit this week with a performance from weekend. So yeah, not had a chance to catch up with anybody in relation to that this week.
Is what you were saying about making changes this week, is that the big difference between now and last year? Because every time we asked you last year, you said, well, everybody that's available is playing.
Yeah, and I think that's
choice.
Yeah, that's like I said, I was in a luxurious position last week with regards to selection. To tell so many blokes there wasn't playing is a privilege as a coach. Hopefully that can happen, many times this year. And like I said, the changes that are going to be made this week, I really hope, like I said, the opportunity these fellas are going to get, I really hope they take it with both hands and put their best foot forward. And, if that happens, collectively, we've got more chance of doing that as a team.
Have you been impressed with the way the ones that were left out have responded? Because it's difficult, isn't it, at the end of
definitely. And again, I think that was another head scratcher last week. The lads that did miss out trained incredibly well, and like I say, the level of them performing well in the opposition team against us 13 on 13 at training obviously helps with the intensity of your training sessions. So for them to be as good as there was in the build up to that game, again, yeah, it's just a bit of an head scratcher.
Yeah, hi Lee, it's Martin here. Just a quick one looking back to the weekend. There was obviously the furore over Joe. Did that affect the team at all, or I mean, obviously you selected him, and
yeah, I
didn't see the game myself, but
you didn't miss much, Martin.
No,
yeah, I got asked that after the game. I'd love to have a gauge to say yes, it did, and no, it didn't. I genuinely don't know the reason for last weekend's performance. If I did, I'd be on a bigger salary than probably I'm on at the moment, and probably at another club as well. It happened last year. There was an incredible build-up to last year's first game of the season. A lot of excitement amongst the group, amongst the playing group, amongst the staff. We played Salford last year at home and put in a similar performance. It was almost like, everybody was in a good spot up until walking over that white line, and that was very much the case on Sunday, unfortunately.
Is it almost a case of being too excited and almost too enthusiastic, and you let emotion take over?
Again, it's something we spoke about, which you could expect if you had a team of 18-year-olds, but we've got a team of 30-plus-year-olds, so it's probably not. You'd have to speak to them all individually and ask them the reasons for that. But as a gauge, you'd hope not. You'd really hope not.
You've said you're going to make some changes. I mean, just looking at your spine from the weekend, those four players look. I mean, on paper, it's a great spine, and I don't know how they played and whether but will you make some changes there, or is that likely to stay in place?
Possibly. A majority of the spine was good. Jacob Miller had a great game. Gaz was busy. I thought Maka was busy. I thought Niall had a fantastic. Niall got real. He really got challenged aerially. So yeah, I want a repeat performance from a lot of them fellas.
And looking at the guys who made the 21-man squad but not the 17 last week, you've got Milner, Vete, Mustafa, and Rob. Presumably, they're the guys who might be the first to come in.
Yeah, like I said, them blokes in response to not being picked last week, showed up really well in training, did all the right things, and when you do that, your opportunity comes around probably quicker than expected.
And can I just ask finally about Jason Gary? Is he at Midlands Hurricanes at the moment?
Yeah, he played there at weekend. Yeah,
so it was him, because somebody said it was his younger brother, but
Jason, yeah.
He's staying there for this weekend, is he, presumably?
No, they've got a cup game this week, so we obviously
right.
See anybody cup tied.
One of those that did impress at the weekend was Jack Broadbent. Just how impressed have you been since he's come to the club?
Yeah, no, very, very. I thought he came off the bench. He gave us some energy. He got a couple of sort of half break opportunities. I thought his decision making on them was really, really tidy. Yeah, I think I've sort of spoke about him in pre-season. He's had a good energy about him. He's a good kid. He trains hard, and I thought that what he showed in pre-season probably showed in his performance on Sunday against Hull.
And on Greg Eden, was he just not selected last week, or was he?
No, Greg's been missing since Christmas in terms of training with the team, and had his first week back with the team last week. And as I said, it's probably a little bit too soon for Greg to sort of be in contention when the other blokes have done sort of a full pre-season and performed well in the friendlies. So hopefully he won't be too far around the corner.
Just a couple on St Helens, if that's all right. Are the club planning on doing a football style guard of honour?
Don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, I've no idea.
Would you like to maybe do one for the world champions?
I got one. I never got one when I became a world champion. So I'd like one for me. Somebody's done it for myself. No, we did it with Radford, and I can't remember anybody giving us one. That times might have changed since then. We might become more friendly now and more giving.
How big a deal is it for the Super League that the Saints won, bearing in mind the recent history between the two nations?
Yeah, massive. Just like I said, I think I obviously read a lot of the Aussie press. Being a fan of their game as well. They didn't get much opportunity or much chance of winning by a lot of their media men, high profile media men as well. So, to see them perform like that and with the consistency that they performed with as well was really, really pleasing.
How much are you looking forward to testing yourselves against the world champions?
I'm just looking forward to seeing a response in some blocks performances from last week and collectively as a team.
And there's also there's been recent conversation comparing them to one of the best British sports sides in history. What are your thoughts on that?
Man United's got them covered.